Welcome to Global Oneness Day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to people in other time zones. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Coordinating Director for Humanities Team, and I'd like to welcome you to our program this year. We work on this program year-round and are very excited about Global Oneness Day 2014. We've got 16 programs this year, spanning 12 and a half hours. The program will go from beginning to end without interruption. The speakers are all global leaders who are impacting the world in very profound ways. Some are calling in from as far away as South Africa, India, Australia, France, and Nigeria, and many other countries as well. We are very grateful for their participation. We've also created oneness moments between panels when we will quiet ourselves for 10 seconds so we may connect with the divine within and all those on this call. Together, we'll enjoy a shared consciousness of oneness. Please relax and enjoy. There's no need to take notes unless you want to. We are making MP3 links, digital transcripts, printed transcripts, and CDs available on the upgrade page on the Global Oneness Day site. Before I share remarks, I'd like to briefly bring in my co-convening partners to say hello, Dr. Barbara Fields, the Executive Director of the Association for Global New Thought, and the Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, the President of the Association for Global New Thought. And welcome, Barbara and Michael.
How you doing?
Hey, Steve. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Global Oneness Day.
Absolutely.
Okay,
welcome
awesome.
to Global Oneness Day.
And you're going to hear a lot more from them here real shortly. First, I'd like to thank all the people participating today by phone, webcast, and replay. We have an enormous audience who have registered for Global Oneness Day and who are participating live during the summit. I also want to thank the tens of thousands who are participating in on-the-ground programs, including in Monterrey, Mexico, church services around the world, the Global Rhythm Circle, and other programs. This is our 5th year celebrating Global Oneness Day, and in the first 4 years alone, over 100,000 people registered to participate in the summit. Global Oneness Day has become our Earth Day for an awakened humanity. Our theme this year is We Are All One. Let's live that way. It's not flashy, but it's true. Cutting-edge science is revealing this. Sacred text is filled with numerous quotes by spiritual leaders. Near-death experiences share similar accounts where we come upon divine light and feel a oneness with all that is. And increasingly, we are feeling into it directly by communing with the divine within. There is a growing consciousness that we are all part of one presence, the divine. Father Thomas Keating said, "We are distinct, but never separate." It's increasingly clear that the divine is like an ocean, and we are all waves in the divine's vast expanse. The only problem is that we don't always live this way. Often we live as if the divine is up there, and each person is over there. This has created what Neil Donald Walsh calls a separation pathology, and Ken Wilber calls a flatland. We all pay the price, because when we fail to see the divine in each person and all of life, we look right past ultimate reality, and we experience the pain and suffering from actions that are incongruent with our true nature. We need look no further than our newspaper and television news to see descriptions of this. If we see the sacred, the divine in each person and all of life, we must create new processes, institutions, and organizations reflecting this. If we are one, we self-identify this way, and we come into compassionate service to the world around us. This is the focus of Global Oneness Day, to invite each person to awaken so we experience our true nature and come into compassionate service together. In becoming involved ourselves and inviting our friends, we believe we can create a tipping point in this generation, leading to an awakened world and planet that works for everyone. Let us begin with one day where we live as who we really are, this day, Global Oneness Day, and then let's live as one each day. Let us co-create a whole new social order based on our oneness with the divine in each other, a social order that has no prejudice, that leaves nobody behind, that nurtures the earth and reveres life in all of its diversity. Thanks again to all of the people participating today by phone, webcast, and replay. Together we are making a statement that we are all one, and it's time to live that way. Many others have created church services, a global rhythm circle, a gathering in Monterrey, Mexico with over 6,000 people, including 1,000 students who are participating by scholarship. Oneness walks, celebration events, food drives, classroom activities, and the Oneness hand signal. Thank you so much to each of you. I want to deeply thank all of the distinguished speakers and sponsors who are part of the program this year. Many leaders from different fields are participating in panels throughout this day and are contributing their valuable time for this cause. Many sponsoring organizations are also lending their support. The co-convening organizations, Humanities Team and the Association for Global New Thought, have contributed thousands of hours to Global Oneness Day. I especially want to thank my partners and colleagues in Humanities Team, including Anna Marie Patiers, John Thomas, Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Carrie Beach, and numerous others, and Barbara Fields and her team, including Michael Bernard Beckwith, the president of AG&T, and all of the Association for Global New Thought board members. It takes talented, devoted, and coordinated teams to create a program such as what we've created today. Words cannot express my thanks to all of the people and organizations who are contributing, so I just want to say thank you in my most heartfelt way. I'm truly grateful. Now I'd like to bring back my partners during this program, Barbara Fields, the Executive Director of the Association for Global New Thought, and Michael Bernard Beckwith, the President of AG&T. The Association for Global New Thought has been sharing New Thought messages worldwide for over 18 years and has made an enormous contribution to the Earth. We are truly grateful to be hosting with them this year. Welcome, Barbara and Michael.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. You know what? I thought I'd maybe have a conversation with Michael Beckwith here for a few minutes to just kind of expose what seems to be the state of the field in our experience in the New Thought community and beyond that. And one of the things that I have noticed is that wherever I go, and regardless of who I'm speaking with in our community, it seems as if people are just kind of bursting at the seams, and that time and space are kind of expanding and accelerating, and everyone has gotten past the point where they want to think these things as abstract concepts or talk about them in dialogue, which is always important. But what they really want to do is unpack what it means to do, as you've been saying, Steve, live as if we're one. And so it seems like everywhere that I'm going, I see people who are 100% engaged in enlightened projects. They're helping in their communities. They're bringing meditation and mindfulness into places that really were always kind of shy of those kinds of practices. They're assembling groups and they're taking on new leadership roles. They're getting involved in global issues. They're informing themselves. They're initiating. And I think that this is one of the best stories for our planet at the moment, is that people are taking it on themselves to be responsible for creating a new world. And I know that this is Michael's experience too, so I was going to ask, what do you have to report from our field these days?
Michael, can you hear us?
Michael,
Let's give him a second and just see. He was on a cell phone, and then he was coming into a landline. So we've got.
He'll be back in a second. You know, it's true. One of the things that AG&T, of course, when it first came on board with Global Oneness Day, was already engaged in a project that now is actually going into its 9th year, called the Season for Interfaith and Intercultural Celebration, which was so closely linked to what Global Oneness Day was all about that we had people in churches and spiritual centers all over the world, many of whom are on the call today, who were just enlivening what it means to be a community in diversity in that can include cultures of many different kinds in cities all over the world. And so the first step in making diversity a successful experience where there is tension or conflict is learning about one another's cultures and about creating conversations and relationships. So in addition to Global Oneness Day and United Nations Day today, we're also in the midst of the Season for Interfaith and Intercultural Celebration, as you can see, these aren't really separate projects. This is all one project. We're just working on it from our various standpoints and perspectives.
Absolutely. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
We can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was speaking, but no one couldn't hear me.
Oh, well.
Well, I'm on now.
Hi, Michael.
And,
what do you tell us about your experience of what's going on in the field right now?
Well, first of all, I want to just feel into the gratitude for just being here with both of you and everyone that's listening in, and appreciated the opening remarks in which you, Stephen, spoke about the intrinsic oneness of all of us. And I think that it's where we always have to begin, because ultimately, without that awareness and without the sustainability of that awareness, it is very difficult for the egocentric perception to maintain that type of inclusivity through the diversity that we're seeing all around the world. For these projects that Barbara just mentioned, have a tendency for us to see things from other people's perspectives, to enter into dialogue so that we expand our perception from our own myopic point of view and begin to see the world through other people's points of view as well, which allows us to have that experience that you were talking about, which is the experience of oneness, which must be sustainable. Interestingly enough, I think that a lot of the crisis that we've experienced on the planet over the last few years, there were always moments after the crisis where the filters were dissolved and people had a chance to see that we were all one, whether it was a tsunami or an earthquake or something to that effect. And the idea is that these particular programs, when practiced, can actually help us sustain that sense of oneness after a crisis, so that ultimately we're not waiting on a crisis to pull us into oneness, or a Super Bowl, or some other situation like that, but actually this becomes our way of living, and it's very, very important, particularly with the earth pains that we see through our environment and things of this particular nature. And so the way I have a tendency to look at it, and the way I've been teaching over a number of years, is that when we get the feedback from from the media about all of the things that are going on the planet, we have to look at these things as a global prayer request, and not take it as feedback as reality, but take it as feedback where new energy could possibly break through. And so we look at all of these things, the wars, the rumors of wars, the hate, the things of this particular nature. We look at it as prayer request, so that we come out of a reactive modality and start to respond from our real nature. And as we look at these things as prayer requests, those who are praying are holding a field that is as rich and as real as gravity, as rich and as real as magnetism, a field that will develop a level of coherence so that more and more and more of us have the experience that you were talking about, that our intrinsic nature, our oneness, is real. That's what propelled me on the path that I'm in over 30 years now. And I had initial awakenings to our oneness, initial awakenings to our interconnectedness, and it was more real than the chair I was sitting on. And it continues. I continue to integrate it and continue to sustain me in the work that I have to do, which is sometimes daunting. But once you've seen it, you can't go back. You see. So I think the work that we're doing at AG&T and all of these wonderful organizations is to create an opening to see the oneness through expanding perception, embracing dialogue, so that we're not just in diversity, but we're in inclusivity. And then with spiritual practice, more and more of us can really have that as a real vitalizing awareness, not just conjecture or hypothesis or a belief system, but an actual encounter, and that's what I'm all about.
Let me come in on that. You're going to hear much more from Michael in just a moment. He's on the next panel that goes an hour. I'm going to we're going to go into the transition because that panel is due to start now. So I want to thank Barbara and Michael. Thank you so much for that sharing from the heart, and that was beautiful. And I want to invite all of you who are listening to go to the opening ceremony event page on the Global Oneness Day site and share your comments and inspirations. Also, I invite you to join the conversation by using hashtag G1Day on your social channels. An amazing panel is up next. It's called Catalyzing an Awakened World. You're going to hear from Michael Bernard Beckwith, Andrew Harvey, and Panache Desai, and we'll be going inside their work to see how they discuss and embody oneness. I'll be moderating this panel. We've got a great hour in store. You don't want to miss it. Before we begin, we're going to go silent for 10 seconds so we can experience connection with the divine within and each other. Then we'll begin the panel discussion. Let's start our oneness moment now.